Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. Now, this is where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week, and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. Now, first of all, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for and I mean this, thank you for coming and watching these videos. I really appreciate it. I've had a bit of a crap week this week, and reading comments of people that like the like the stuff that I put out, it kind of makes it all worthwhile. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Now, if you've never seen the Q&A before, I haven't done any preparation for these questions. So basically, you're getting my raw and filtered opinions. If I think a question kind of needs a longer answer, what I'll do is I'll do a video specifically about that question at some point in the future. And if you want a guarantee to get your questions asked, please try and get the questions in by sort of Monday or Tuesday at the latest. I try to film these earlier in the week because towards the end of the week I get busier. If I miss your question, I'm very sorry. Just leave it down below, and I'll get back to it the next week. But yeah, thank you very much. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. Hope you guys are having a good Sunday. And without further ado, we're going to get straight into this week's Q&A. Okay, so the first question is from Keith Runian. Hey Keith, how you doing? Who says, do you know of an in-the-hands vanish of a stack of 3/4? The only thing I've come up with is using a coin clip and doing a heel clip steel and ditch to the pants pocket. Just wondering if you have any other ideas. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a few different ways. What you're talking here basically is a multiple vanish, a vanish of 3 coins, right? I don't have any quarters with me, but I do have $half. There's a couple of different ways of doing this. So you've got a stack of 3 coins, right? And you want to vanish them. The easiest way is to do a French drop. A lot of people don't realize this, but if you do a French drop with a stack of coins, it becomes even more deceptive, because when you take them, you hear the sound of the coins as you take them in the hand, and yet they vanish. So if you don't know the French drop, the idea is you hold them here. This is called spellbound position. And the move is you're just going to allow the 3 coins to drop into finger palm. And you don't want to have your hand move. You want to try to just drop them like that so the thumb doesn't move out of the way. That's the big mistake that people make. So you hold the coins like this and you just move it, you just let the coins drop. Now you do that as you cover up with this hand, okay? So you're going to come and apparently take the coins. So when this hand covers the stack, what happens is you do the move. Now it's really important not to kind of close your hand too early, because that will draw attention to this hand, and that's not what you want. So you come in, and you come over here, and then when you focus attention over here, and you do that by looking, because if I look down here, I'm drawing all attention here, which is not what I want. So I'm going to look at this hand, right? So I'm going to show the coins. I'm going to look at this hand. When everyone's attention's here, this hand just drops naturally down to the side, or if I'm standing down to the side of my body, or resting naturally on the table, I can focus attention here, and the coins have gone. So in full speed, I can show the 3 coins, have the stack, take them into this hand, and they've gone. Right? That is effectively the French drop sort of being used as a multiple click pass. Now, if you want it to be a complete vanish, because you talked about ditching them in your top pocket, if you have a pen, for example, in your, well, I'm going to use my top pocket, but if you have a pen in your jeans pocket or something, you can do the multiple click pass, and then you can go into your pocket to take the pen and vanish them that way, and that becomes a complete vanish. Now, there are more advanced ways of doing this. Derek Dingle came up with something called a silent steal, which is a little bit like what you described, but with no coin clip. So you take the coins, you put the coins in here. Now, this was originally published in Dingle's Deceptions, I believe, the big black book from Kaufman. But the idea is that you just wave your hand over, you pull on your sleeve or whatever, and the coins just vanish. That's called silent steal. And you want to look this up. It's too complicated really to explain now, but effectively what's happening is you're putting the coins in your hand and you're straddle gripping them, so that you can move all 3 coins silently to heel clip. So you move them all silently to heel clip. And then when you wave your hand over, you're going to take them into Dimonchi grip. Now, Dimonchi is like this. So it's here where the thumb is curled around the coins. It's not thumb palm, it's Dimonchi grip. Okay, so you put the coins here. They get taken into heel clip, which are there now. And then you take them into Dimonchi grip as you wave your hand over. And now you can leave them there, but I like to silently transfer them to classic palm, and I do that as I pull up the sleeve. Just because I feel them more secure there. But in full speed, you put them into the hand, you do this, You wave, and then they go into classic palm, and you are done. The other thing you might want to look into is Runeclan's Viking Vanish, which looks like this. It's a really nice vanish, and you see the coins going into the hand. You have to kind of to realize how good this is, you have to be really close up and watching it, because you want to be seeing this. But effectively, what's happening is, as you turn your hand over, you're creating gaps in the coins. So when you drop the coins into your hand, they're hitting the thumb and they're getting pushed back into finger palm. You do it at the right speed, it really just looks like you drop them into the hand, and they hear them go in and they see them go in. And from finger palm, you can get rid of them or push them into classic palm, or do whatever you want to do with them. So yeah, if you're going to use sleight of hand, those are the three best ways. The other thing that you could do if you're using a stack is to use a pull, like the Ghost Vanisher from Penguin Magic. There's a few different ways you can do it, but if you have a pull and you have a coin clip on the bottom of the pull, you can put the coins into the hand. They're going to go into the coin clip, and then you can kind of come forward, and it'll shoot up your sleeve, and it'll vanish the coins that way. Now, the only problem with that is once the coins have vanished that way, you can't retrieve them because they're in a pull, but that might not be a problem depending on the routine you want to do. There's a few options there. Pick one that you like, and hopefully that helps. Okay, the next question is from Spa S2011, 2011. How you doing? Hi, Craig. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, not bad. I want to improve my stage show. What would you consider the best investment? Purchasing the Pro Magic Academy, corporate stage show, investing in a good sound system? And if so, which one would you recommend, or something else? It kind of just depends on what it is that you're wanting to improve about your stage show. If you're happy with your stage show and you don't want to improve it from a performance point of view, then you don't need to go into any courses that involve the performance side. If you've got a show that you're happy with, so when I first started doing my illusion show, after about a year, we got to a point that we were really happy with it and it was going really well, but we kept getting screwed over with sound because we were going to events and we were plugging into DJ speakers and stuff, and the sound was always just a major issue. So we invested at that point in a really good quality sound system, and I tend to use a Bose S1 Pro when I'm doing my shows. That's good for like 200 or 300 people with a nice head mic, and like a Sennheiser or a Shure head mic. And I found that made such a difference because I was just so unconfident going on stage every time, thinking, well, is my music going to work? Is it going to be loud enough? Is it going to go? Having a good sound system is a really important thing to do, but I don't know where you are in terms of your level with that. Now, the Pro Magic Academy and courses like that are great if you want more gigs. So if you're somebody who's like, you know what, I've got a great show, I'm happy with the sound system, it works for the type of audience I perform for, or maybe you do corporates and you send a tech rider and you're always linking into their system, and it's not just a haphazard, I'm going to go into the DJ system, but you're setting it up beforehand, then you just want more gigs or you want higher paying gigs, then definitely a Pro Magic Academy or something like that is the way to go. So it really just depends. You need to look at yourself and you need to say, right, what do I need right now? I've got some money to spend to improve my act. What do I want to improve? Do I want to improve my performance? Or maybe you want to improve the tricks that are there, or you want to have a bigger eclectic range of tricks, or maybe you want to make the show work in a different environment. So you perform corporates, but you want it to be a family show, or maybe you want to ultimately take this out on the ships and you want to approach an agent and you want to make sure that it's at a particular level. Well, that would be involved in improving the performance side of things. So that's looking at courses about how to be a better performer. That's about that sort of thing. Whilst if it's I've got a great show, I'm very happy with it, I just don't have enough gigs, I don't understand branding, I don't know how to get more work, well, that's a different situation. So come back to me and tell me what it is that you want to improve about your stage show, because honestly, I can't help you completely without you telling me exactly what it is you want. Give me some information. How long you been doing stage shows? How many do you do? Are you happy with the show? Would you like to improve it from a performance point of view? What about the tricks that are in the show? How do you feel about the sound system that you're using at the moment? Where are you performing at the moment? What is it that you want? Have you got enough gigs? Are you happy with the gigs? Are you happy with the fee that you charge? Do you want a higher fee? How's your branding? How's your social proof? All of this is information that I kind of need to know before I can give you advice, else I'm just kind of shooting in the dark. Okay, Magi Julio, who says, oh, My old account name was Skippy Pictures. Well, hello, Skippy Pictures, or should I say Magi Julio, or Julio. Is it Julio or Julio? I'm going to go with Julio. So I bought Flip from Wes Isley. I hesitated for a long time with the version with John Allen, but my wallet preferred the $20 version, and it's so good. Told you, I told you you would like that. You know. Another question: can you add magic tricks? Can you add magic tricks into the kids and stage section of the Netrix? Yes, we are doing at the moment. So we've got an upload that I filmed. Michael's back from holiday. He's posted this in the community in Netrix, but I'll say it here just so you don't know. Michael's been back for a couple of days. I've given him all the assets. We've filmed 10 new tricks. They're going in on. He's hopefully going to be getting them up on Monday, which is great. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to bolster up the kids show section. I'm going to be filming a bunch of kids show tricks that I'm going to be uploading. So first of all, we're going to have family show routines, kids show routines. And then after that, we're going to go into stage routines as well. And I'm going to ask the question if people want to see routines with illusions as well, because that's something a couple of people have asked, but there's no point in putting it in the Netrix unless it's something that works, unless it's something that everybody wants. So, you know, any members of the Netrix here, would you like an illusion section as well? Would that be useful for you? But yeah, we're going to be adding a lot more stage stuff and a lot more kid show stuff. The kid show stuff is getting filmed next week. I've got a fairly free week next week. But yeah, there you go. Hopefully that answers your question, and thanks for sticking around. Okay, so Yinhao Magic says, hi Craig, following up the tech versus Sleights, I guess if you want to cancel out other methods and present it like test conditions, tech that's invisible like the TCC pad might cater for that. Looking forward to the tech versus Sleights video in the future, and also the how to run a ticketed show video. Did I miss this? No, you haven't missed it. It's something that I need to do, but this is kind of a longer form video because I've got all of the footage from Rugeley, and I filmed a load of footage earlier where I was putting advertising campaigns together and everything, and we're editing all of this together, and we're trying to make it kind of more of a documentary. So a lot of Magic TV videos are fairly easy to do because it's me just sitting here and just like this, being to camera. So the edit is quite minimum. It's fairly easy to do. When we're doing a video like this, and I think it's really important to get the right style of the video, we need to take more time over it, which is why we kind of haven't promised that it's going out at a particular time. We're doing really well with it, and we're hoping it's going to be finished relatively soon. But yeah, it's coming. It's coming is what you need to know. It's coming soon. Okay, so you've got another question here. Have you ever thought about getting a remote video editor just to ease some of Michael's workload? Yeah, I mean, the problem is, where do I get the video editor from? I don't make any money from YouTube. Like, I think my channel makes £400 a month or something. Maybe even less than that, 450, something like that. It's not a big channel. And Michael, you know, he's meant to be working on other stuff, but I drag him into this all of the time, which is fine, you know. But in order to have a full-time editor, I'd have to start, you know, taking this side of my business very, very more seriously than I do. And because then you're talking about a full-time wage, or even if you get a freelancer or a remote video editor, that's still paying them by the hour. That's still a lot of money. And, you know, it's fine to do that, but I lose money on Magic TV as it is, you know, and I do this really for the community. I do it because I really want to try and help people. That's why I make all these videos and answer everyone's questions. My wife calls me insane. She says that I should be in there, you know, doing my actual job, which, you know, I can understand why she would think that. I think if I turned around to her and said, I'm going to hire a remote video editor to help me and Michael edit this stuff, I think she'd like blow her gasket, to be perfectly honest. So I understand where you're coming from. In an ideal world, that'd be the case. But in order to do that, I think that Magic TV would have to actually be a business. And right now, technically, it's a business, but it's not really. So, yeah, no, I can't see that happening anytime soon. But the only time we have an issue with it is when Michael's out the country. He's been out the country the last couple of weeks, which is why we've had to batch a bunch of videos. I didn't want you guys to not have videos, so me and Michael batched a load of stuff while he was gone. Now he's back. It's kind of plain sailing again. We've got pretty good at this. Okay, so Yinhao Magic also says, I aspire to put together a 30-minute close-up show with just a regular deck of playing cards. Would this be too boring for audiences nowadays? I do mostly walk around, hobbyist part-time, and it's mainly show an effect, put it away, show the next effect, put it away. No, it's not too boring. I mean, ask, Paul Gordon or Daniel Chard or people like that if card magic is boring. No, absolutely not. Not in any way, shape or form. But I think that you have to approach a 30-minute card act in the same way that you would approach a show, in that there still needs to be a variety of material. So it's not just pick a card, find a card, pick a card, find a card. Luckily, with a deck of cards, you do have a lot of eclectic material, and I think that that's what you would kind of lean into. So I would be including, I'd be including every single type of thing that I could do, and also I'd try and include stuff in there where it's a card trick, but it doesn't feel like a card trick. I'm talking stuff like Leviosa. I'm talking stuff like Tech Deck, things like that. And what you'd want to do is you'd want to try and really work on the flow of it. So what would you use to open? And then what would you go into? And then what would you go into that? And I think it'd need to flow a little bit like Daryl's ring and rope routine. I talk about this all the time because the thing I love about Daryl's ring and rope routine is the end of the previous phase is the starting point of the next phase. There's no, the transition is flawless. There's no moments where you're going from one thing to another and you're having to readjust or regrip or whatever the case may be. I think it would be the same thing here. So when you're structuring it, if you're doing a 4 ace production, for example, well then great, what can you go into with 4 aces? And if you're vanishing the 4 aces, well, what's going to happen to them? What happens next in the sequence, right? I think everything needs to flow, and it needs to make sure that it's quite an eclectic range of material. Outside of that, and I'd have some changes, maybe a color changing deck I think would be a good thing to have in there, maybe a blank deck kicker of some description. I think you could do it relatively easily, but yeah, it's something that you'd have to plan out. I mean, I've released a lot of card material. Would it be worth me, and I don't know the answer, please let me know down below, would it be worth me going away this weekend? Because I've got a fairly easy weekend. I'm just hanging out with Ryland and Thea. I've got a gig tonight. I'm filming this on Friday. This is so late to film the Q&A, but I've had a bit of a shit week. But I had a gig yesterday. I've got a gig today. And the company has gigs over the weekend, but I don't. So I've got a fairly free weekend. I could probably go through all of my card releases and put together a 30-minute show. And then just kind of do this. Would be a relatively easy video to do. I just perform the 30-minute show, and I could maybe do it with Thomas here. He's in the office next week. Do a 30-minute show just with a pack of cards, and then talk through why. Maybe not do a tutorial on it, but kind of talk through what I did and why I did it, and why I kind of went down that. And if I did that, I could do it with just a regular deck of cards if you want me to. So there's no gimmicks, there's no tech deck, there's no blank deck, there's no gimmicked cards in there. It is literally a 30-minute show with a regular deck of cards. Plan it out for you over the weekend. We could probably get that up next week and do like a 30-minute show and then sit down and kind of explain, this is why I did this, this is the material I chose, this is why I chose the material. Let me know if that's, I'll plan it anyway. Genuinely, when I say let me know, I'm really trying to gauge off you guys what you want to see and what you don't want to say. This isn't like a clickbait, I'm hoping they engage in the video thing. It's really not. Like, I really watch what you guys like and what you guys don't, and you'll see things disappear sometimes. Like marketing for magicians stopped happening because people weren't interested. I knew that from the viewing figures, and people said to me, I'm not really into marketing. I used to do the honest trailers. I don't do those anymore because only a small section of people did it. That's why I eliminated the rants. So when I say, let me know if you're interested, I'm really trying to gauge from you guys what you want to see and what you don't, because I don't want to be sitting here making material for this channel that you're not invested in. So I'll plan it over the weekend because I think it would be a fun thing to plan. But if you could let me know down below if that's something that you want to see, and I can probably film it beginning of next week. Okay, so Stephen Murdoch says, hey Craig, I'm curious about your Lotto prediction effect on the holiday special. I have grip sticks, but I also picked up Plastidip for a couple of your suggestions. You said the gaff was roughing, not Plastidip. Before I go mucking about with it, could Plastidip work instead of grip sticks? Probably not, really, to be honest. And the reason I say that is because Plastidip, one of the inherent qualities of Plastidip is that it sticks those things really hard. Like, it sticks two cards together ridiculously well, almost like too well. Well, not too well, because in the context of what you use Plastidip for, it's perfect. But what you're wanting with the lottery prediction is you're wanting to be able to separate those cards really easily, right? You want them to stay together, but you want to be able to separate them really easily, which is why I suggested roughing spray or a roughing stick or something like that, because that is how you look at the invisible deck, for example. That's the same sort of thing, right? With an invisible deck, you spread through the cards, and you do the card spreading thing. You spread through the cards, and you need to be able to separate it in the middle of the deck. It's the same sort of thing with with this. You want to be able to separate it very, very easily. Even though with the lottery prediction, you're not separating it in the middle of the deck like you would an invisible deck. It's still the same concept. So when you're using roughing spray, you rough every single card, because the whole idea with roughing spray is when two cards stick together, that both surfaces have to be sprayed for them to stick. With Plastidip, you spray one surface and it will stick to any other card, right? But with roughing spray, you spray every single surface. So, but by using roughing spray, what it's going to allow you to do is separate those cards easier. And ultimately, you kind of need those cards to separate easier. That's really important. So yeah, that's really all you need to know about that. So yeah, I'd use roughing spray. You said that you had grip sticks. Grip sticks will work well, I believe. I don't use grip sticks myself. I've seen them and seen what they do, and they do what they do very well. But I don't use them myself. I kind of old school spray, right? But yeah, definitely use roughing spray. Do not use Plastidip. You're going to make it very difficult for yourself to do the routine. Okay, so the next question is from the Mystery Box Studio, who says, first, thanks for another great episode. You're more than welcome, buddy. We'll check out the acts you mentioned and the answers to my question from last time. Perfect. Question, in some of your videos, you mentioned your tricks, and also for others, this trick would be perfect for the X company. What makes a product more fittable for Penguin, Murphys, Alakazam, and so on? It's a great question, and I don't know, honestly. I think it's kind of a gut instinct that I tend to have. Alakazam used to be known as the mentalism shop, but it's not anymore. It's kind of more eclectic. I tend to find that the best stuff for Penguin is the stuff that's kind of really fun. A lot of younger magicians find Penguin because their SEO is so good. When they're looking for a magic shop, Penguin comes up first, and with the way that the site looks and the penguin and everything, it kind of attracts a lot of younger magicians who then stay with the company for years, right? It's a great marketing strategy. So because of that, and Penguin tend to have a lot of people who are newer into magic. You look at Vanishing Ink, for example. Vanishing Ink, although I've never done a project with Vanishing Ink, I hope to one day. But you look at Vanishing Ink, and this isn't always the case, but you tend to find that, I think the word sophisticated, their magic tends to be a little bit more, almost difficult, sophisticated, that sort of thing. While Penguin is kind of more fun. Now, that's not to say that's always the case. I mean, look at some of the books they've brought out recently, Architect of the Mind and so on and so forth. But that tends to be the case, right? So something fun, I tend to go for Penguin, right? If it's a coin set, I typically will go with Alakazam because of the Elite coin range, although I am currently helping Penguin with all of their coin gaff releases, and I'm putting tutorials together for them, which you'll be seeing coming out at some point in the not too distant future, I imagine. With Murphys, it tends to be the more in-depth stuff. Like you think of a lot of the stuff that I brought out through Murphys. It's the stuff that's kind of more in-depth, the Cube 52s, the big blinds, the atomic decks, the savant decks. And also, don't forget, up until recently, Lloyd Barnes worked at Murphys Magic, and I collab with Lloyd a lot. So a lot of the stuff that me and Lloyd have done would obviously, it makes sense to come out through Murphys Magic. I found a home for my projects, and that's Alakazam. I have a real passion for projects. I love doing, the Mirage deck project, the Svengali deck project. I think the most recent one is was the Z-Fold wallet project, and me and Nemeth are just in the middle of filming the next one. I've got 3 that I'm doing this year. They come out as a download, and you get bits and pieces later on if you want to. But I do very much like doing those, and Pete gives me carte blanche on that, which is great. So I'll say to him, I really want to do a deep dive project on this subject, and he'll be like, yeah, let's do it, that's cool. So and that's a really nice creative outlet for me. So for all the big projects that I spend time working on and work up, that tends to be the home for those. Other than, you know, I did Visible for the 1914, which is the Invisible Deck project. But as Alakazam now on the 1914, you know, I have actually just pitched and had accepted a trick for the 1914, which I'm very excited about. I've never, well, I have done a couple of tricks with the 1914, obviously Forecast and Visible, but this is a very different thing to this. Both of those were kind of projects, while this is a trick in its own right, and it's very 1914. So I'm very excited about that. But yeah, it's difficult to answer, to be honest, buddy, because I don't know. It's just a gut instinct to have inside me. And also, for me personally, I don't like to do too much with one company at one time. So I'll kind of look at it and I'll go, well, I'm doing a lot with Murphy's at the moment, so let's speak to somebody else about this. I've had a lot of fun working with TCC. Now I've only had one TCC trick out so far, which is Spectrum Sharpie, but there are more coming. And I've had a lot of fun working with TCC. I really have. They've been a great company to deal with, and I hope to build a working relationship with those guys up. Assuming I'm still doing this, but if I am, working with TCC and kind of doing more with TCC would be great. But yeah, there you go. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so the next question is from Warren Treadaway. Hey, my friend Warren. By the way, everybody follow Warren. He's an amazing magician. He really is. Hey, Craig. Hope you are, my friend. I am very much, buddy. It's great to see that Thea is absolutely smashing it with her children's magic shows. She's a natural performer, has a great future ahead of her. Yes, she does. Yes, she's great. She's loving it. She's spending all of her time practicing. She went out and did 3 kid shows last weekend. She's got the weekend off this weekend. She wanted to go out and do more kid shows. I was like, take a weekend off. You're 10. Chill. Which she wasn't happy about, but, sometimes that happens, right? My question is regarding your new release Cobra coin. I know you can't get into whether this is dollar or half dollar size. I wondered if the hole on the dollar size coin is larger than the hole on the half dollar size, or do they both have the exact size hole? I believe they have the exact size hole. I think they do. I've not actually measured it to check. It's a great question. I'm actually filming today a Cobra coin exposed video, which will be being released the following week. So come hopefully Monday or Tuesday, that video will come out, and I will at that point find out for you. I will let you know. Okay, I'll let you know, because I don't know the answer, unfortunately. I have no idea. But I think they are both the same size. But I'm very proud of Cobra coin. It's done really well. It's, I've seen some people say, oh, it's just a coin with a hole in it. Well, no, there's a lot more to it than that. Not just the tutorial, but actually what you get inside it as well. It's more than just a coin with a hole in it, a lot more. And that extra thing that you have will allow you to do some very clean displays. And I'll go more into that next week when I do the exposed video. But yeah, I hope that helps. And I'll, you know what I might try and do? I might try and put up the Cobra coin exposed video. If I can film it today, it's Friday today. If I can film it today and get it up for Sunday, I'll try and put it up this evening instead of a review show special. If I can, I will. Can't guarantee anything because I am quite busy, but if I can, I'll do that for you. Okay, so the next question is from Puncala. It says, hi Craig, I think my comment got removed. We don't remove any comments, by the way, unless they're hating on somebody that's not me. Even if you put comments on about me, I'll typically leave them on there. I think the comment got removed again, so I'll say it without the link. You probably don't remember, but last year I showed you my invisible palm aces routine. I actually do remember. Since then, I've added a new phase to the beginning and to the end. I filmed a live performance for you and uploaded it today. Could you take a look and tell me what you think? I think it's now original enough to call my own routine. Can I find it? Okay, hang on. 3 days ago, it would be this one. Okay, yeah, I'll have a look at it as soon as I've finished this Q&A. Oopsie. Yes. Okay, so as soon as I've finished the Q&A, I will watch it. And then what I'll do is I'm just trying to do this. There we go. So I'll watch it as soon as I've finished all these questions, and then I'll tell you what I think of it at the end. So the last question, if I remember, and hopefully I will, I'm not that scatterbrained, the last question will be my thoughts on your routine. Okay, so Darren Gregg says for the Q&A, hi Craig, I was wondering what you thought about memory stunts and whether you do any. I know you use mnemonic, but do you use any memory stunts when you perform? Harry Lorraine said he switched from card tricks to memory stunts when he realised they got much stronger reactions. I learned to do them from his memory book long before I got into magic, and doing such things as memorising a deck of cards in about a minute, naming the day of a week for any date in the last 200 years, memorising a long digit number and a long list of items backwards, forwards, etc. What I like about these is there's no trick. You really are doing what you claim. People genuinely can't believe that you've genuinely memorised the deck of cards as they read them out to you. I use this same system to memorise my stack that I use for memjack tricks. So what are your thoughts? Are you familiar with any such systems? Ever used them or been tempted to? Also, do you know any memory performers? So I don't really do much like that. I remember reading Harry's book years ago. I don't really know any memory performers. It's not something that would really fit my style. I think you have to have a certain style for it to fit. But I do remember reading Harry's book. And the one thing that I do quite regularly, which is super impressive, is when I'm doing a multiple selection routine, let's say there's 10 people. I was at a gig last night and I did this like 3 or 4 times. Let's say there's 10 people. I'll perform and I'll get the names of all 10 people. And then as I'm finding the cards, I'll be referring to them by their name. And I won't even make a big deal of it. And what typically happens is when I'm up to person number 7 or person number 8, you see people going, how does he remember all of this? And it's almost like I've had people in the past go, how do you remember all those names? I'm like, oh, it's just something I can do. And it really heightens the actual trick and it becomes really impressive. But that's really the closest thing I get to a memory demonstration. It's not really a memory demonstration. I almost play it off as, yeah, I can do this. This is just something I can do. But I think most memory demonstrations wouldn't work for me. I think they are very, very impressive, and I can understand why Harry said that. And I've seen him do memory demonstrations and kill with it. It's just not something that I really would kind of want to invest a lot of time into to develop an act or a set with it. But yeah, I mean, super impressive, and you carry on doing them. Yeah, they're great. Okay, so Joe Greenslade says, hi Craig, I purchased Ape and I'm absolutely loving it. Thank you very much. I even fool myself when I'm practicing it. However, when I go to perform it, I find either the cards get stuck to the inside of the sleeve or they get bowed or bent from being in my pocket or bag and I can't move them properly. My question is, where do you keep Ape when you're performing, and how can I prevent this from happening? Thanks for all your guidance and advice. Well, the only reason they're getting bent is because the actual leather wallet that you've got them in is getting bent. So I typically will keep them in my top pocket. If I'm wearing a suit, I'll have the little wallet in my suit top pocket. But you guys know I tend to wear a lot of shirts like this, and they've got top pockets as well. So whatever I'm wearing, I tend to put it in my top pocket if I'm planning on using Ape. And that will keep it nice and unbent. You want to just think about, like, the problem is if you put it in your jeans pocket, for example, and when you sit down, they might cause it to bend, and you don't want that, just like you wouldn't with any packet trick. So keep it in a place where it's not going to bend. A top pocket is absolutely perfect. And in terms of sticking to the inside, you tend to find that if it's been stored like that for a long period of time. So what I tend to do is when I'm not using it, I take the sticky card and I stick it to one of the other cards, and then I store it. So when I go to perform the trick, what I'll do is I'll unstick the cards, put them in the position they need to be in to do the routine, and then I'll just put everything into my top pocket. So now I can bring them out, I can take them out of the sleeve, everything's absolutely fine. I can put them away, and let's say I'm spending a few hours performing that. When I get back home in the evening, I'll take it out, I'll put it back into locked position, kind of what I think of, and then I'll put that somewhere safe, and it'll stay there until I take it out and do it again. Which is good advice for any packet trick. But especially Ape. So hopefully that helps, and thanks for your support. The next question is from David Nainaruda. I think I butchered the name, sorry buddy. You mentioned tip over boxes and Hocus Pocus. It's a real bummer, but Max is closing down Hocus Pocus. Him and his company will be missed. Yeah, I did I spoke about this recently on a video a couple of days ago. He will be missed. It's absolutely gutting. And it's terrible that he's closed down and it came out of the blue and nobody really kind of realised. But hopefully he's happy and hopefully he's in a good place. Okay, so the next question is Illusionist Ed Zeus, who says, hey, great advice, thank you. There was no Illusion review last week. Are you planning on continuing the Illusion reviews? Yes, I am. I will continue to do the Illusion reviews. The next couple don't have them, but then they will be coming back. So not a problem at all. Also, a more specific question, have you ever used a gimmicked hoop by Victor Volko? They are probably similar products, but I'm talking about the hoop used for levitations like Spontus, etc. You definitely know what I mean. Have you ever tried it? I haven't seen you use it, but it seems like a great convincer. It's just very expensive for what it is. Yeah, I don't use it. I think it is a great convincer, but I don't think it adds anything, to be perfectly honest. I think that Spontus is a perfect example. It's so deceptive. It's so fooling. But I think having a hoop and kind of just running a hoop along it, I think it's just kind of running when you're not being chased. And I don't think it really adds much to the levitation. I think, if anything, it takes it out. It takes it out of that moment. For me, Spontus is a beautiful moment of magic, and I don't want to take away from that. But that's only my opinion. I mean, those hoops are great. I've had one in the past, but I did actually try it for a little while. But I think it kind of, in my opinion, it affected the timing and the pacing of the illusion, the way that I wanted to perform it. So, no, I don't use it. Victor Volko is a great guy. Ryan's uses his flying linking rings all the time. He's got some wonderful material. But, nah, I don't really do it. Okay, so the next question is from Carter Mazik, who says, hi, Craig, sorry to pop in, but a couple of other questions popped up. I didn't see your original question. Sure, it'll come. One, what is your opinion on Illusionist Rubi Cup? I very much like it. I haven't reviewed it yet, but I want to add it to the review show because I missed it when it first came out. I've picked it up recently. I think it's very, very good. I will definitely be using it. I've always been a fan of that style of deception. Rattle gimmicks is something that I've always loved. Having that audible quality that you attach to any routine, I think kind of heightens it. And the Rubi Cup is no different. So yeah, I think the Rubi Cup is great. Look for a review coming soon. And you ask, if someone could only get one of your coin sets, which one would you recommend and why? Thanks again. Well, that's a great question. And what I would say is the Mirage coin set. The Mirage coin set is perfect for a beginner. If you are a beginner, I would say the Mirage coin set is the way to go. Then maybe later on get the Nightshade. Nightshade is great if you're performing up here, but the Mirage coin set is great if you're performing at a table and up here. So I'd say Mirage coin set has got more eclectic material, but then you can go into Apparition and Nightshade and all the others. Thanks for the question. Okay, so the next question is from David DYZXC, rolls off the tongue, who says, two questions. One, when are you doing an interview with Jim Steinmeyer? And the question is, I'm not really too sure. I've reached out to Jim a couple of times and I've not really had a reply. And he's on my kind of list to chase up, but I don't like to harass people. There's some people who just don't want to get interviewed, which is absolutely fine. Some people I've reached out to and they've said no, which is cool. Some people just completely ignore me. So when people ask me to interview somebody, I always reach out to them. But a lot of the time, or sometimes, that's never going to happen. And with Jim Steinmeyer, unfortunately, I've not really connected with him at all. So hopefully, if you know him, tell him to get back to me. And I'd love to do an interview with him. Your other question is, who is, in your opinion, does the best Professor's Nightmare? It's a great question. It very much depends on what you're talking about when it comes to Professor's Nightmare. Is it just the Professor's Nightmare routine, or is it kind of part of a longer set? I'd say the best Professor's Nightmare I ever saw was Paul Green in routine that he put on his DVD, In the Trenches. And what I loved about that, it was kind of a cut and restored rope mixed with a Professor's Nightmare. And during the course of doing the routine, he was cutting up the rope and he ended up with 3 pieces of rope that were cut to the right size for Professor's Nightmare. So he kind of made the Professor's Nightmare set during the course of a longer routine, which I thought was really smart. Jay Sankey's got a really nice version where he's got rope that's made to look like magic wands. That's really cool as well, especially for a family show or a kid show. That works really good. In terms of really, if it's part of a routine, I'd say fiber optics. Fiber optics is great. Fiber optics is wonderful actually, because you start with Professor's Nightmare and then you can go in so many different directions. I also should shout out Nightmare Recharge, which Alakazam bought out, and I did the tutorial for Nightmare Recharge. That's a really great product because you're doing Professor's Nightmare with charging cables. I was speaking to Lloyd Barnes the other day on the podcast, you can hear it, and he talked about how one of the competitors did a Professor's Nightmare in the hands of the spectators, which I have no idea how that would work, but that's a really super smart idea. And then it's not technically a Professor's Nightmare, but the first routine has a similar feel, but with 2 ropes instead of 3. What's it called? Tenyo's DX ropes or whatever it is, Tenyo's Nightmare ropes or 4DX ropes or something, I can't remember. That's a really great routine. I love the moment where the actual loop comes off the ropes at the end. So there you go. Those are the ones that I would shout out. Okay, Martar980 says, "Hi Craig, I'm a magician from Lithuania and I'm wondering if you need to have cash to buy a trick at the Blackpool Magic Convention, or can I pay by card? And is there an ATM nearby where everything is happening?" I'm sorry the question's not about the video, but I think you definitely know the answer. Thanks for the great videos. You're more than welcome, buddy. There is an ATM right outside the Winter Gardens. The Winter Gardens is right in the centre of Blackpool. Blackpool's a pretty big place. If you go out through the front doors, not the back doors, but the front doors, turn left, there's Halifax like 4 doors down with a big ATM. So that's where you're going to get your cash out. I'd say like 85, maybe even 90% of the dealers take card. And if they don't take card, they take PayPal. So if you've got a PayPal account, that's cool. Some of the smaller dealers don't have a card machine, but if they don't have a card machine, there are other options. So like PayPal is another option, to be honest. And if they just only take cash, then you can get cash from the cash point. But those dealers will find a way to get your money regardless. Okay, so Carter Meazik says, "Hi Craig, from Florida. Nice to meet you. I just joined the Netrix and I saw True Pro. I think it's a wonderful effect and I appreciate all you do for the community." You're more than welcome. My question is, can it be done without a mem deck? My memory sucks, so a memory deck would not be ideal for me. Thanks in advance. You know what? I've actually been working on using True Pro with a regular deck for the last few weeks. I haven't quite got all of the kinks out yet, but somebody else said something similar, and I've been working on a way of actually making that happen. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm close. Just not there yet, but close is what I'm kind of saying. I kind of took it on as a creative challenge. When I work out exactly how the structure of the routine will work, I'll definitely put it up on the Netrix, and so you'll be the first to know. But there is a way to do it. It's just a little bit more complicated than you'd think. And also, thanks for being on the Netrix. I don't know if you noticed, Michael's posted in the community, but there's 10 new tricks that are being uploaded on Monday, and then we're going to be uploading a bunch more as well over the coming weeks and months, including a load of stuff for stage. So thanks for being a part of the Netrix. Really appreciate it. Next question is from Michael XMCV, who says, "Hi Craig, I'm a huge fan of effects like stand-up Monte. What recommendations do you have for effects that can be performed stand-up and don't require much pocket space?" So stand-up, are you talking about routines like stand-up Monte? Because probably one of the best ones is Corner of Piccadilly. Corner of Piccadilly by Paul Gordon. There's a video of me performing this somewhere. I love this routine. Corner of Piccadilly by Paul Gordon is great. It's another sort of Monte style routine, but it's very different to stand-up Monte. Honestly, if you're wanting effects that can be performed stand-up that don't require much pocket space, a lot of card routines, a lot of packet tricks will fit that bill, because with a packet trick, it just goes into a little packet trick wallet and you can just pop it in your top pocket, and it doesn't really take up much space. Ape is one of my favorites right now. No, it's my own trick and I'm a bit biased, but Ape is one of mine. But if you want non-card effects that don't take up much pocket space, look into coins. Coins are a really good shout. I mean, my new Cobra coin that I've just bought out, that's a great one because it takes up no pocket space, right? It's literally just a purse that you put in your pocket and you're good to go. I would also say Chop, because with Chop, if you don't do the Bill and Lemon finale, and there are other options of not using a Bill and Lemon finale. If you use just you could borrow a cup, borrow a piece of paper or a bill or a receipt or something like that, and you can literally go into the full Chop routine, and all you need is a pen in your pocket and you're good to go. So if you don't have Chop, that would probably be a good shout and something that's worth looking into as well. Okay, Archie Cox Magic says, "Hey Archie, by the way, hope you're well. I've just started practicing hopping halves and I have two questions. How do I deal with the coins making a noise as I put the shell in my pocket? Because obviously there's still two coins in my hand, but the audience thinks there should be one, so they shouldn't make a noise. I'm assuming you're talking about the regular hopping halves, all right? The one that everyone's done for years. Because I don't do that. I haven't done that in a long time. I used to do it, but I've got various different versions of hopping halves now, like the 2-coin trick off Nightshade coin set and various different routines like that. So I don't really do the original hopping halves, but I obviously have knowledge of it. And I know the moment that you're talking about. You've put the shell in the pocket, but you've still got 2 coins there. The way that I would suggest doing it is you show the 2 coins, so they're kind of overlapping each other, square them up and take off the shell. And as you take off the shell, make a tight fist. Because the only noise is going to come if the 2 coins are moving around inside the fist. So if you take off the shell and then you make a tight fist and nothing's moving around, focus attention on the shell going in the pocket, you can then open up and cause those coins to spread without making any noise. So it's really kind of like just making a fist as you take that coin away, keeping that fist nice and tight. You also have another question. How do you make this reset in your pockets if you're doing this in a gig? The realist answer is you can't. You can, kind of. Pocket space for me is really important. So when I used to do hopping halves, I'd have other stuff in the pocket as well, like Keymaster, for example. And so I wouldn't ever want to try and reset it in the pocket because it's quite awkward to do and almost impossible if you've got something else in the pocket. Now, if you have a pocket just for hopping halves, you can do it, but it does sometimes look a bit fumbly, and I don't think you want to fumble during the course of a routine. So my advice to you is to reset it as you walk away from the table. Now, look, it's nice if something instantly resets. If you just take something, put it in, boom, job done, yay, that's great. That's wonderful. It's not always the case. I don't like doing a reset if I have to walk away from where I'm performing and like spend a minute over it. So if I've got a trick where I have to literally walk away from everybody, put stuff on a table, I don't like that. But if it's something that I can reset in front of people as I'm looking for the next table, then that's great. And hopping halves kind of falls under that remit, right? So as I'm walking away from the table, I'm reaching into the pocket, I'm nesting all of the shells together, I'm kind of looking around to decide what group or what table to go to next. Put the things away, whether it's in a ticket pocket or in your pocket or in a purse or whatever, you put it away and then you walk over to the next table that you've chosen to go to or the next group of people you've chosen to go to. Can you do it in your pocket during the routine? Yes, but it could make it very fumbly, and I don't think that that's something that you want. The sacrifice that you make is only a couple of seconds resetting it, and I don't think that's an issue. So I wouldn't bother trying to reset it in the pocket. I'd just reset it before you go to the next table. Okay, so the magic of Harvo says, "Hi Craig, love the content. Thank you very much. I'm finally putting together a close-up repertoire, and I have a few questions. I apologise if these questions have been asked before. How many tricks should I do per set?" Well, first of all, the biggest piece of advice I'll give you is go look up a video that I put up a couple of years ago. It's called How to Create a Set List. If you just type into YouTube, How to Create a Set List, Magic TV, it'll come up. And it's a video all about this. But basically, it very much depends on the individual. So, for example, if you are a mentalist or a storyteller, or your performances are narrative driven, you're probably only going to have 1 or 2 tricks because you're building up to that moment and it takes a little bit longer to present each trick. If you are a little bit more like me, where you're kind of a visual performer and it's all very quick and very like boom, 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 almost beating them up with magic, you probably need more like 4 or 5 tricks. It just very much depends on the audience. And the other factor that you need to take into consideration is the event that you're at. How many people are they? Where are they spread out? How long are you there? So, for example, I was doing a gig last night, and it was for a corporate. There were 180 people, but I was in the foyer, and most of the people were in this room, and there was an Oasis tribute band on, and I was there to perform for the people that were coming out of the thing because they didn't want to see the Oasis tribute band. And really, I only had about 50 or 60 people all night, and I was there for a couple of hours. So I was in a situation, and also there were big groups of people, and that's the other factor. Sometimes there's groups of only 2 or 3, sometimes there's groups of like 10, and I had relatively big groups, and they were changing around a bit because people were coming out and people were going in, but I could take more time, if that makes sense. I could take more time performing to everybody because it was less stressful. It wasn't like I was in a banquet room and I've got to get around 12 tables in 1 hour. It wasn't like that. So I could be a little bit more relaxed. So I did like 4 or 5 tricks per set. And I varied it up from group to group. I was doing like 4 or 5 tricks per set, 5 most of the time. Whilst tonight, I know what I'm getting into. Tonight I'm going to a gig. There's 100 people. I've got 90 minutes. There's 10 tables of 10. In 90 minutes, I've got to do 10 tables of 10. I'm going to be hustling. It's going to be probably 3 tricks. And one of them will be ridiculously quick. So it very much depends on the environment, the type of performer you are, and the type of magic you do. So the Magic of Harvo says, a couple of tricks in my repertoire use a trick deck and some use a normal deck. Is there a way to convince the audience that it's okay, I've changed deck without them getting suspicious? I hope that makes sense. Yeah, you don't want to openly switch a deck, right? So you don't want to say, okay, I've done the tricks with this deck, now let me bring another deck out. Because the only reason that that would happen is if there's something special about the deck. So you don't really want to do that. So you need to kind of make them feel that there's one deck all the way through, or have a reason why the second deck has been brought into play. So let me give you a couple of examples. The one situation where I think it's okay to put one deck away and bring another deck out is if there is something inherently different with that second deck that gives it a reason to exist. So for example, Trilogy Extreme by Alakazam. Okay, this is a deck of cards with numbers written on the back of them. Phil Plus, another example, cards with names written on the back of them. If you've done a couple of card tricks and then you say, well, let me put this deck away and we're going to use this deck. You're probably wondering, why am I bringing another deck into play? Well, the reason is I did something to this deck. Every single card I wrote a number on. Now that's a reason to bring this pack of cards out. It's no longer suspicious. It makes sense. For this trick, you need this deck that you've put these numbers on, right? Outside of that, let's talk about deck switches first of all. So you can switch decks. And there's a million different ways of switching decks. Greg Wilson is a great source of resources. So is Roberto Ajobi, who has literally a book on deck switching called The Art of Deck Switching. Both of those are a great example. You also might want to look at Blizzard, because that's a nice thing that you can adapt to other things. By Dean Dill, Penguin Magic, brought that out again recently. You have the rights to it. But there's ways of doing it without a deck switch, or the audience doesn't feel like there's a deck switch. So for example, one way of doing it is, let's say that you've got 2 red packs of cards, and at one point you want to bring in the second red deck. You could bring out a red deck of cards, open up the cards, give the deck out to be shuffled. Now, as you're shuffling the deck, you hold the empty card box in this hand, both hands go in the pockets, you bring a pen out with this hand. When you're doing a switch, the thing that you're meant to be getting comes out first because all the focus is there. So you bring a pen out and you hand the pen to somebody, and as that's happening, you bring out apparently the card box. It's meant to look like you were reaching into your pocket to look for something, the pen, but you've switched the card box for a regular deck, for a card box with a regular deck. You put it down on the table, they think that's the empty card box. It's actually got a deck of cards in. So now you can do a vanishing deck routine if you want to. Any sort of routine where the deck vanishes. You can do multiple different routines and finish with a vanishing deck. There's a million different ways to vanish a deck of cards, but then it doesn't become a vanish. You go, well, you're probably wondering when the deck's gone. It's gone back in the box over here. Now you open up the box and inside is the deck, which is great. That's an amazing thing to do, right? Because now you've switched that deck in, but they don't even realize that it's switched in because you've used just a natural progression of a routine to be able to make that happen. And I talked about this on the tech deck tutorial. So that's a really smart way to do that. The other thing that you can do, right, is you can do like a card to pocket. So imagine you were doing a card to pocket routine and the final phase is the deck goes into the pocket. Well, instead of taking the deck out that you've been using the whole time, you could take a different deck out from a different deck. And you can bring that deck out instead, and that works really well. Simon Lovell has a wonderful routine called Packed Wallet. And the idea is that you have someone pick a card, the card vanishes, and it goes into the wallet. And then you put the card back in the deck, and this time the only card that's left here is the card, and that's because the deck's gone in the wallet. And when you bring the second wallet out, you've rung in a deck of cards, right? So there's lots of different ways of kind of going down that sort of philosophy, and that works really well. The other thing that you can do is you can put the deck into a position where you can't use it anymore, forcing you to bring another deck out. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're doing a blank deck kicker. So let's say you're doing a routine, like for example, Mark Leverage's virus card or something else. But you're doing a routine where you've got a deck of cards, and at the end, the final beat is they all turn blank. Well, now you've got this blank deck, and you can say to the audience, well, in all honesty, I didn't realize that, I didn't think this through. I've got a blank deck of cards. That's not going to work for any more tricks. Luckily, I'm a professional. I always carry a spare. Now you have a reason to bring that spare into play, because your original deck can't be used for anything, right? And that concept works not just with a blank deck. It works with a tech deck. It works with a solid deception, an omni deck, a phantom deck, anything like that where the deck gets completely destroyed. That's something that's absolutely worth thinking about. So yeah, I mean that's generally the rule of thumb. You want to try and bring that deck in as natural a way as you can. And there's a million other ways, but hopefully that'll give you a good jumping off point. Okay, we've got one more question from the Magic of Harvo, who says, when I'm more confident, I'm thinking about taking a close-up busking. I'm thinking about I'm going out doing close-up busking. I have a close-up table. I'm wondering if you have any advice on this. Not much advice, because I've never busked in my life. And the reason I can do these Q&As is because I can speak on most subjects, because I've done most stuff. I've never busked. So I feel very uncomfortable giving you advice, but I will give you two sources. First of all, I'm trying to do some videos with buskers on my channel, and that will be happening over the coming weeks, maybe weeks, months, hopefully, maybe, depending. But, sorry, lost my train of thought. But what were we talking about? Busking, yeah. So in terms of busking, two resources that I'll give you. The first resource is Tales from the Streets, which is by Cosmo. Cosmo brought it out through his own production company many years ago. It's a great DVD. And it's a DVD all about busking and how to busk. And it's amazing. It's definitely a DVD you should buy. The other thing that you should look into is Stephen Bridges. Now, if anybody's new into magic, you probably think of Stephen Bridges, if you know his YouTube channel, as a channel that talks about card counting, because that's kind of all he does now. However, before that, he was a magician, a very successful YouTuber within the magic sphere. And he put up normal magic videos, and then after a while pivoted and he started busking in real life, and he catalogued that journey on YouTube. So if you go back maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years, something like that, I don't know how long, go back in his videos until you get to the point where he's just started busking, right? Or he's talking about busking. Because then over the course of the next several videos, he literally catalogues his mistakes, his successes, what went well, what didn't go well. There's a video on every single subject you can imagine. You can see what he's doing in real time and how much money he's making and how it's working and how it's not working. And honestly, I could spend half an hour theoretically telling you about busking, because anything I tell you will be coming from a theory point of view, because I don't really do it. So I could spend half an hour talking to you theoretically about busking and how good it is and how bad it is. But in reality, the best way to do this is to go on Stephen Bridges' YouTube channel, and it'll be a gold mine for you. So there you go. Hopefully that answers the question. Okay, so the next question is Andrew Wiggin, who says, hello. Oh, it sounds like we're doing the Book of Mormon, doesn't it? Hello, my name is Elder Price, and I am up to do the amazing book. I thought it might be worthwhile to go back in time and do a how did it pan out on the best tricks from 10 years ago. What were the top 10 tricks of whatever you feel like choosing, and which ones fizzled out and which ones stayed relevant, as well as why you think they did, obviously. I think this sort of thing would be really interesting and a great learning opportunity. I agree. I think it would be a great way of having sort of hidden gems highlighted. I also think it would be a great way of, kind of talking about creativity and what tricks stay and what tricks go and so on and so forth. I think it'd be a really interesting video for me to put together. Yeah, really good. So if things pan out, I mean, I'd like to do the video series. I really would. There's a lot of stuff going on at the moment. But if I'm still here, then definitely 100% that'd be a video series that I would like to see. So it's probably something I'd really bite in and get my teeth into as well. So we will see, but yeah, I'd like to do it. It's a good idea, really good idea. Okay, so Magic Ace Orlando. Hey Craig, I know you're the king of key magic, and there's one effect I've always liked but had a few issues with. It's the skeleton key. The effect where the teeth move up and down the shaft before magically staying in place in a different position. Have you ever performed it? I like the practicality of it, but man, it looks straight for the magic shop and I'd feel funny taking it out of my pocket. I would love if the key looked more modern if possible. Just tossing it out there, maybe it'll get your juices flowing for a new trick. Anyway, thanks for all these videos, I appreciate it. Thanks for watching all the videos, I appreciate you. Yeah, I mean, look, I know the trick you're talking about. It came in a little box, right? Because the gimmick had to be kind of down inside the box so that you could steal it. It was difficult to do it from the pocket. And you're right, it can look kind of clunky. The key looks a little bit old school and the thing looks a little clunky, but the actual effect is great. You know, taking something that's everybody knows is solid, that can't move, and moving it into a different position. It's a little bit like doing a moving hole type routine. So it's a great trick. It's a really solid trick. You are right, it needs an update. It needs somebody to take it and go, okay, well, this is what we have here. How can we take this and apply it and maybe change the method a little bit to make it a little bit less clunky? And I think you'd want to try and get rid of that box as well, because I think the box is kind of a weird thing. I think if you made it kind of more like a normal key, but to be honest, you might want to just take it away from keys completely and think, well, okay, what else could you do with this? What else could you use this concept for that's not a key? I mean, stupid example, but could it be a mug? Could you take the handle of a mug and go, all right, and move it down to the bottom of the mug? And then it connects and you've moved the handle all the way down to the bottom of the mug. I mean, that would be a really cool thing to do, right? So, yeah, I could see that working really well. It has got my creative juices flowing. The last couple of weeks, I've not really created anything. I've not really been in that space. But when I get my mojo back, I will definitely I will add it to my list of stuff to think about, and I'll definitely think about it. I think it's a really good idea. I think it definitely needs updating. So and I'd never thought of that before. So thanks for bringing it to my attention. So I've gone back and watched the Puncala video. And I advise everyone to do so. You want to go onto Puncala's YouTube channel, which is Puncala. That's it, at Puncala. P for Papa, U for Uniform, N for November, C for Charlie, A for Alpha, L for Lima, A for Alpha. And the latest video that was submitted 3 days ago, or it was uploaded 3 days ago, is Invisible Palm Aces version 2, V2, English subtitles. And I'm telling you right now... Oh, there we go. I'm telling you right now, that is killer. That is an absolutely killer version of Invisible Palm Aces. Puncala, I definitely can say that you've made that your own and then some. The opening, the sequence at the beginning, with just the logic behind it is brilliant. I mean, I don't know why nobody's thought of that before. Maybe somebody has. I haven't seen it before, but the whole idea of doing that as a lead into the Open Travelers is Invisible Palm Aces is brilliant. But then you've got the actual routine itself, which is great. I've already told you that before. I love your handling of that. And then the finale, I didn't know where you were going with the finale, and I really love what you did. It brought the whole thing full circle. At one point, I thought you were going to switch them for 4 phantom cards. And so they're caught sort of half visible, half invisible. And I was thinking to myself, oh, that'd be really good if you could have a phantom card and boom. But what you did is just as good because you're bringing everything full circle. And I think that's smart. The only thing that I'd add to it is I think I'd eliminate the deck. I don't think you need a deck in play for this. I think that find another way of doing it where you don't need a deck, because I think just dealing these out of nowhere, doing the routine and dealing them back into nowhere, I think this is the way that you should do this. This is brilliant. It's one of my favorite, if not my favorite version of Invisible Palm Aces. Congratulations. It's definitely made your own. So there you have it, guys. Thank you once again for joining me on Magic TV. Now, don't forget, you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. I'm going to be back again very, very soon with another video, so make sure you look out for that. If I can get that Cobra coin video done for tonight, I will. If not, it'll be next week. But yeah, outside of that, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. Don't forget, you want to like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all of that stuff, and get excited because Blackpool's just around the corner, and it's going to be super fun. But thanks very much for joining me. I'll see you again soon. My name's Craig. This is Magic TV.